Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Soul Land 2 Peerless Tang Men based on novel. So let's start. Only Wang Yang, Bei Bei, He Kai Tu, Shu Sansha, Jiang Nan Nan, Xiao Xiao, Hu Yuhao and Wang Dong were left in the Sea Gods Pavilion right now. Their excitement had died down after Yang Xiaozhi reprimanded both Dai Yueheng and Ling Luo Chen. They were even a little discomfited now. Yang Xiaozhi turned to them and smiled. He said, "What's wrong? Do all of you think that the academy is being too strict on them? I have to say that these are the academy's requirements of all our inner courtyard students. The academy has used various forms of resources to nurture the inner courtyard disciples, thus it's natural that our requirements are high too. You're also going to be part of the inner courtyard in the near future. All of you will understand then. Alright, it's time for your rewards. Teacher Wang. Dean Yuan." Wang Yang stepped forward and bowed respectfully. Yang Xiaozhi said sincerely, "Although we didn't have all our team members around, 4 official team members couldn't compete, and 3 of the others were even injured, and yet you still managed to lead the team to victory in the tournament. All of us can see how capable you are. You shall be promoted to Shrek Academy's top-ranked teacher of the inner courtyard." Wang Yang said hurriedly, "Dean, I don't want any reward. It's not really my effort that won us the tournament. It's all because of these kids' hard work. They gave their all and came back from the dead more than once. If the academy really wants to reward someone, they should reward all of them handsomely." Dai Yueheng and Ling Luochen's treatment left Wang Yang frightened that the academy would neglect these kids' hard work. Yang Xiaozhi smiled slightly and answered, "They'll be rewarded too. So will you. What I just mentioned wasn't even considering your reward yet. It's only just a normal promotion. The real reward for you is that the Sea God's Hidden Beach will be open to you for a year. You are allowed to read anything you want within this year, but you can only read and research within the Hidden Beach." What? After hearing his reward, Wang Yang didn't conceal his emotions in front of all the elders. He was so excited that he jumped up, and his face turned red from agitation. What was in the Sea God's Hidden Beach? There were countless solitary copies of books, out-of-print collections and resources. At least in Wang Yang's eyes, it was the greatest wealth that Shrek Academy possessed. Even the Sea Gods Pavilion elders had to go through complicated administrative processes to enter the Hidden Beach to read. 1 year of access to the Hidden Beach was extremely valuable to Wang Yang. Yang Xiaozhi smiled upon seeing Wang Yang's excited behavior. He said, "Teacher Wang, this is the reward that you deserve. We can see your contributions to the academy, as well as your persistence and hard work in your research. I hope that you can learn more from the Sea God's Hidden Beach over the next year. Thank you, Dean, thank you, elders." Wang Yang was so excited that he almost bowed all the way to the ground. He would have never have imagined that he would be given access to the Sea God's Hidden Beach. All the elders smiled and nodded their heads at him. In Shrek Academy, only the best were valued. This was applicable even in the aspect of theoretical research, which was considered crucial in the academy. There was one 7-ringed elder in the Sea Gods Pavilion who specialized in theoretical research. But he didn't have such a long lifespan compared to the title Doluo. That was why such individuals tend to be lower in numbers in the Sea Gods Pavilion. Yang Xiaozhi turned to Hu Yuhao and the rest and he said, "It's all of your turns, kids. I can only express my astonishment or regarding your performances. Shrek Academy has emerged champions in the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Soul Dueling Tournament several thousand times. But I am certain that this is one of the most meaningful triumphs that we have achieved, and it deserves to be recorded in our history. Shrek will remember the contributions that all of you have made. All of you are the Academy's true heroes." Everyone was moved when they heard Yang Xiaozhi's words. They didn't expect such an appraisal from the Academy. It was glorious to be recorded in Shrek's history. Everyone suddenly started to feel passionate. Yang Xiaozhi said, "The Academy's senior management are aware of what all of you have done. All of you have shouldered Shrek's shining glory. In a tournament that was supposed to merely be training for all of you, you fought unyieldingly, and attained the championship through your efforts. Your brilliance has left all of us astounded. After a conference here in the Sea Gods Pavilion, we've decided to award 2 different rewards to all of you. The Academy was given 3 soul bones and 1 extra one as the champions. The extra one is suitable for Hu Yuhao. The Academy has also decided to offer 3 more soul bones, so that each one of the rest of you can receive 1 soul bone each. All of you will be allowed to choose based on your abilities, and special characteristics too. Another 3 soul bones. Everyone was delighted. If each of them was given a soul bone each, there wouldn't be much of a choice anyway. The reward offered by the Academy was comparable to the Star Luo empires. But they would be even more shocked by what was to come. Yang Xiaozhe said in a deep voice, "The soul bones are used to encourage all of you for your efforts in the tournament. But the Academy is also going to credit all of you for protecting the Academy's glory. From this moment onwards, the Academy shall name the 7 of you Shrek's 7 monsters." He stopped for a moment before saying seriously, "For life." Hui Yuhao and the others couldn't help but exclaim in shock after they heard those last 2 words. They stared at Yang Xiaozhe with their eyes and mouths wide open. They felt as if their spirits had left their bodies at this moment. Shrek's 7 monsters. While these words sounded simple, they held a deep meaning to Shrek Academy, and even the entire Doluo continent. Ever since the glory held by the first generation of Shrek's 7 monsters, this name continued to represent greatness up till now. There were only 2 instances so far in Shrek's history that anyone possessed this name for life. They were only conferred to inner courtyard disciples that had contributed greatly to the Academy. The soul bones were already a huge surprise to all of them, but this lifetime Shrek's 7 monsters title conferred onto them was much more meaningful. The glory that belonged to Shrek would be imprinted onto their bodies and spirits from this moment onwards. They were going to shine for life under this glory that had been shared with them. This reward brought such a shock to all of them that it couldn't be described in words. Hui Yuhao and the rest were all speechless. They finally understood why Yang Xiaozhe was so determined to let Shu Sancha and Jiang Nan follow them to the Sea God's Pavilion. He didn't just want to censure them, but to give them the opportunity to claim their rewards personally. This was an extremely important moment in all their lives. They would regret it for life if they missed this moment. Yang Xiaozhe said in a deep voice, "The Sea God's Pavilion discussed the matter for an entire day before we came up with this reward. It was only decided after a round of voting by the elders and a final decision by the master. But I must clarify one thing first. To ensure the smooth progression of your studies in the Academy, this will not be publicized. It will even only be recorded in our history. Before all of you graduate, only all of you will be privy to this. Please don't make it public." They could understand this restriction they had to face. If news of this spread, they would be put into the limelight. This would then affect their normal cultivation and studies. As their team leader, Bei Bei could not help but ask, "Dean Yang, does lifetime refer to the time we spend in the Academy or?" Yang Xiaozhe smiled and replied, "What? Is it so difficult to understand? It's called lifetime, because it'll be with all of you for your entire lives. Furthermore, this title will not be given to anyone else as long as one of you is still alive. That's why all of you need to work hard at your cultivation and try to live longer. This glory will then stay with all of you for a longer period of time." Bei Bei was delighted, and used his eyes to gesture to the rest. He bowed respectfully towards the 4 deans and the elders present. The others understood him and followed his lead, as they bowed respectfully too. Yang Xiaozhe stepped to one side and said respectfully to someone at the head of the table, "Teacher, do you have any other instructions?" Everyone just now realized that there was someone half lying on the other side of the table. They couldn't see what he looked like because of their perspective. "Kids, your performances were beyond what I expected. That's why these rewards are what all of you have earned. But it's important to realize that this doesn't mean you will be forever successful. All of you must live up to the name of Shrek's 7 monsters. I hope that all of you can work hard to preserve Shrek's glory, just like you did before." Bei Bei, Shu Sancha, Jiang Nan and He Kai too, the 4 of you are already beyond soul ancestors. I grant special permission to the 4 of you to go take the inner courtyard test after this academic year ends. After passing the test, the 4 of you shall continue to learn in the inner courtyard. The difficulty level of your tests will remain the same. Bei Bei and the other 3 looked at one another. Right now, they were all nervous. The test choked many external courtyard disciples, and there were very few who could really be admitted to the inner courtyard. It was impossible for them not to feel anxious, as they were about to undergo the test earlier than was required. The frail, elderly voice continued, "Hui Yuhao, Wang Dong and Xiao Xiao, the 3 of you shall remain on the Sea God's Island temporarily and cultivate alongside me. The 3 of you will only return to the external courtyard when I think that it's time. Bei Bei and Shusansha shall be guided by Little Xian, while Jiang Nan Nan shall be guided by Cai Maya. More effort has to be placed on Lin Duo Duo, Fan Yu and Hikai Tu too. If they don't pass the test, you will be punished as teachers. Although this elderly voice sounded very gentle and benevolent, his words left everyone convinced, and no one doubted his words. All the Sea Gods Pavilion elders and 4 deans stood up together, and bowed towards Elder Mu respectfully. Meeting dispersed. Elder Mu's voice became more peaceful. All the elders seemed to instantly disappear. The new Shrek's 7 monsters didn't even notice their movements clearly. Elder Xian, the 4 deans and Fan Yu remained. All of you can go too. It's fine if only Hui Yuhao and the other 2 remain here. Elder Mu waved his hand, yes. Yang Xiaozha replied respectfully and left with everyone quietly. Bei Bei and Hikai Tu lifted both Shusansha and Jiang Nan Nan as they left too. They all glanced at Hui Yuhao as they left. They gave him an encouraging look. The Sea Gods Pavilion quieted down. Hui Yuhao, Wang Dong and Xiao Xiao were nervous. The master of the Sea Gods Pavilion, who was half lying on the main seat, was even Dean Yang Xiaozha's teacher. He was the greatest authoritative figure in Shrek Academy. Kids, come over. Elder Mu gestured towards the 3 of them. Hui Yuhao, Wang Dong and Xiao Xiao walked around the long table quickly and came beside Elder Mu. They all lowered their heads slightly and looked a little nervous. Why? Did the 3 of you manage to defeat your opponents like this in the tournament? What's there to be nervous about in front of me when all of you are fearless in front of your opponents? Lift your heads. We're old friends. Elder Mu's gentle voice sounded very inspirational. Hui Yuhao and the others lowered their heads subconsciously. All they saw was an elder who was in his declining years, but had a face that wore a slight smile and was filled with tenderness. It's you. The 3 of them exclaimed at the same time. They even stared at him directly. They wouldn't have gotten it right even if they had 10,000 guesses. The elder who always laid down leisurely in front of the freshman dorm was actually the master of the Sea Gods Pavilion in Shrek Academy. The 3 of them were so shocked that they became speechless. Elder Mu smiled and said, "It's weird, isn't it? All of you are right, I am that old man. Although I control the Sea Gods Pavilion, I'm unwilling to stay here. It's too boring. How can it be as bustling as your freshman dorm? I can feel the youthful aura, which makes me feel younger too. Sensing all of your vitality and vigor can also prolong my lifespan by a few years." Hui Yuhao discovered that he was stuttering. Whether it was him, Wang Dong or Xiao Xiao, they couldn't draw the connection between this frail elder and his identity as Shrek's master. Elder Mu lifted one hand and said, "Help me up." Hui Yuhao rushed forward and lifted Elder Mu's hand. Elder Mu's actions were very slow, just like an old man who had one foot in his grave. He stood up from his lying position slowly. But his back continued to be bent at a 90 degrees angle, which was a sorrowful sight. Elder Mu's arms were very delicate. While they felt very warm, they were extremely bony and rigid. Elder Mu chortled and said, "I'm not trying to be ostentatious by lying over here. When I was younger, I was injured, and I never recovered from that injury. That's why I can only bend my back like that. They felt bad for me, so they prepared a reclining chair for me." As he spoke, he lifted his hand and pointed in a direction. Hui Yuhao carefully supported him as they advanced. Wang Dong and Xiao Xiao followed behind. Even now, their eyes were still filled with surprise. Elder Mu laughed slightly as he walked. "Hui Yuhao, I noticed you the first time you entered the freshman dorm. That's because you are one of the rare few kids who greeted me actively. You're very courteous. Every time you entered the freshman dorm, you greeted me. That's very good. That's what younger ones like me should do." Hui Yuhao replied in a low voice. Wang Dong and Xiao Xiao lowered their heads in guilt. They were normally all so focused on learning and cultivating in the external courtyard. How could they be bothered to notice an elder in front of the freshman dorm? Hui Yuhao supported Elder Mu all the way to the front of a wall. Elder Mu lifted his hand and pointed out. A streak of golden light suddenly lit up, and everything around them seemed to turn illusory. An intense golden halo surrounded Hui Yuhao and the other 2 instantly. They only felt that it was extremely bright in front of them. They quickly shut their eyes. There was nothing beneath their feet. When they stepped forward in the next moment, the surrounding golden light had already disappeared. The Sea Gods Pavilion had disappeared. To their horror, they discovered that they were in a vast hall. This hall seemed to be 100 meters long, and was squarish in shape. Its surface area was similar to the competition stage of the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Soul Dueling Tournament. There were several tunnels at the sides of the hall that led to unknown places. There were no windows and everything was enclosed, but the air was very fresh. There were several statues erected inside the hall. They were similar to the ones in Shrek Academy after one entered the academy. Shrek's founder, the Golden Triangle, and the first-generation Shrek's 7 monsters. But there were more statues here, and these statues seemed to be made of wood. Elder Mu smiled. Aren't you all curious as to why the Sea Gods Pavilion doesn't seem grand? But did any of you realize that the Sea Gods Pavilion wasn't constructed, but carved out? Hui Yu Hao and the other two were stunned. They didn't understand the meaning behind those two words. Elder Mu said, the Sea Gods Pavilion was originally a huge tree, a golden tree that was rarely seen in the world. It was a tree that contained an aura of light and life. The earlier generations used this golden tree as the foundation, and carved out the Sea Gods Pavilion without affecting the life of the golden tree. That's why the Sea Gods Pavilion doesn't seem to have been put together, while the various decorations and statues in the Sea Gods Pavilion were made by the wood that was dug out during the carving process. This golden tree can be said to be the root of Shrek Academy. The three of you will understand its significance in the future. Wang Dong, go to the first tunnel on the right. At the 10-meter mark, there should be a door. Push the door open and enter the room behind it. Sit on the prayer mat and cultivate there. Wang Dong was stunned and hesitated for a moment. Hui Yu Hao nodded his head at him hurriedly, and he then followed Elder Mu's instructions. He naturally knew that Elder Mu's instructions were for his own good, but he was unwilling to be separated from Hui Yu Hao. Xiao Xiao, take the third tunnel to the left and enter the second door. Cultivate there too. Whenever the two of you recover from your fixed state, you can return to the external courtyard, yes. Xiao Xiao answered hurriedly. Her huge eyes blinked, and she walked to the other side. Only Hui Yu Hao was left with Elder Mu after the two of them left. Elder Mu smiled and said, you can go too. Walk to the end of the first tunnel to the right. There will be a door to a room. Enter the room and start to meditate. You will have your answer when you come out, yes. Thank you, Elder. Elder Mu smiled and said, my surname is Mu. You can call me Elder Mu, all right, Elder Mu. Hui Yu Hao answered. But he didn't leave. Elder Mu, do you need me to take you somewhere to rest first? Elder Mu was a little stunned as he twisted his head to look at him. He could only see Hui Yu Hao's sincerity and naturalness from his eyes. There was no deliberate intention at all. After patting Hui Yu Hao's hand, he smiled and said, I can still walk. Go. This closed-door cultivation will be important to all of you. Relax and go over everything that has happened. I believe that you will gain something from this, yes. Hui Yu Hao only let go of his hand now and walked towards the first tunnel to the right. When he reached the opening of the tunnel, he stopped in his tracks subconsciously and turned back to look at Elder Mu. Elder Mu was also looking at him. Hui Yu Hao didn't know that Elder Mu was sure this concerned look of his proved that his words previously didn't contain any other intentions. Wang Dong was the first to reach his destination, the first door at the end of the first tunnel to the right. The door was wooden, and appeared to be made from the golden tree wood that Elder Mu had mentioned. As he lifted his hand to push at the door slightly, the door opened easily. It was as if it had just unlatched. Wang Dong felt a strong aura of light engulfing him as he opened the door, which almost caused him to suffocate. In the next moment, a wave of suction force appeared and dragged his body into the room. Wang Dong's gaze turned lifeless as he walked into the room. The room was around 10 square meters large. Countless rhizomes hung from the ceiling and covered the entire 4 walls, as well as the floor. He wouldn't be so shocked if they were just stems. He was shocked because these rhizomes were entirely yellowish golden. The strong aura of life came from these rhizomes. In the center of this room, there was a circular mat that subtly shone with a golden radiance. The strong aura of light spread out from above it. The concentration of the light element was so great that it almost assumed liquid form. Elder Mu said, the Sea Gods Pavilion was originally a huge tree, a golden tree that was rarely seen in the world. It was a tree that contained an aura of light and life. The earlier generations used this golden tree as the foundation, and carved out the Sea Gods Pavilion without affecting the life of the golden tree. That's why the Sea Gods Pavilion doesn't seem to have been put together, while the various decorations and statues in the Sea God's Pavilion were made by the wood that was dug out during the carving process. This golden tree can be said to be the root of Shrek Academy. The three of you will understand its significance in the future. Wang Dong, go to the first tunnel on the right. At the 10-meter mark, there should be a door. Push the door open and enter the room behind it. Sit on the prayer mat and cultivate there. Wang Dong was stunned and hesitated for a moment. Hui Yuhao nodded his head at him hurriedly, and he then followed Elder Mu's instructions. He naturally knew that Elder Mu's instructions were for his own good, but he was unwilling to be separated from Hui Yuhao. Xiao Xiao, take the third tunnel to the left and enter the second door. Cultivate there too. Whenever the two of you recover from your fixed state, you can return to the external courtyard, yes. Xiao Xiao answered hurriedly. Her huge eyes blinked, and she walked to the other side. Only Hui Yuhao was left with Elder Mu after the two of them left. Elder Mu smiled and said, you can go too. Walk to the end of the first tunnel to the right. There will be a door to a room. Enter the room and start to meditate. You'll have your answer when you come out, yes. Thank you, Elder. Elder Mu smiled and said, my surname is Mu. You can call me Elder Mu, all right, Elder Mu. Hui Yuhao answered. But he didn't leave. Elder Mu, do you need me to take you somewhere to rest first? Elder Mu was a little stunned as he twisted his head to look at him. He could only see Hui Yuhao's sincerity and naturalness from his eyes. There was no deliberate intention at all. After patting Hui Yuhao's hand, he smiled and said, I can still walk. Go. This closed-door cultivation will be important to all of you. Relax and go over everything that has happened. I believe that you will gain something from this. Yes. Hui Yuhao only let go of his hand now and walked towards the first tunnel to the right. When he reached the opening of the tunnel, he stopped in his tracks subconsciously and turned back to look at Elder Mu. Elder Mu was also looking at him. Hui Yuhao didn't know that Elder Mu was sure this concerned look of his proved that his words previously didn't contain any other intentions. Wang Dong was the first to reach his destination, the first door at the end of the first tunnel to the right. The door was wooden, and appeared to be made from the golden tree wood that Elder Mu had mentioned. As he lifted his hand to push at the door slightly, the door opened easily. It was as if it had just unlatched. Wang Dong felt a strong aura of light engulfing him as he opened the door, which almost caused him to suffocate. In the next moment, a wave of suction force appeared and dragged his body into the room. Wang Dong's gaze turned lifeless as he walked into the room. The room was around 10 square meters large. Countless rhizomes hung from the ceiling and covered the entire 4 walls, as well as the floor. He wouldn't be so shocked if they were just stems. He was shocked because these rhizomes were entirely yellowish golden. The strong aura of life came from these rhizomes. In the center of this room, there was a circular mat that subtly shone with a golden radiance. The strong aura of light spread out from above it. The concentration of the light element was so great that it almost assumed liquid form. Wang Dong only felt that his heart had been cleansed. He even had the same feeling he had experienced when he had first bathed in the golden light, before he came to the Sea God's Pavilion. He understood that the golden light he was being bathed in belonged to the power of the golden tree. But he didn't know who guided it. This wasn't just a stroke of luck, but fortune. Wang Dong was also very intelligent. He walked forward rapidly and sat cross-legged on the mat. All of you are in the Sea God's Pavilion underground world. There are 108 rooms here, and they cover almost all the environments suited for all types of martial souls. Every inner courtyard disciple has a chance to undergo deep meditation here. Although the few of you aren't inner courtyard disciples yet, I've granted permission for the few of you to undergo deep meditation here beforehand on account of your contributions to the academy, sufficient experience in the tournament, and your gifts of twin martial souls. Your efforts will reap greater rewards here, and this experience will be very valuable to your future cultivation. But it's not just about your cultivation here. More importantly, you have to find your path here. Wang Dong was jolted once again as he heard Elder Mu's words. He seemed to understand some things. Elder Mu said, every soul master has a path he needs to take. Assault, agility, control, auxiliary, these are only the shallowest things. Achieving more requires one to find his path accurately and precisely. No one can tell you how to walk this path. You can only discover it for yourself. For individuals with twin martial souls like yourself, it's even more important to discover your own path. Never hesitate, or doubt the path you chose. Try your best to finish walking that path. You'll succeed no matter what the path is if you can do this. Elder Mu's guidance stopped here, and his voice also disappeared completely. In the other two rooms, Xiao Xiao and Hui Yuhao also heard the same things. Xiao Xiao was in a special room. There were no rhizomes in this room. There was only a huge bell. Firstly, Xiao Xiao felt a heaviness that almost suffocated her. When she made an effort to sit down on the mat, she only heard a loud boom. Everything around her disappeared, and the only thought in her head was that she was trapped in a bell. Hui Yuhao was in the most special room. When he entered, it was pitch black. The entire room was silent. He subconsciously wanted to unleash his martial soul when he entered the room. With his spirit eyes and purple demon eyes, he could see everything clearly even if there wasn't any light. But he suddenly felt a great distortion in the space where he was standing at this moment. It was as if the entire area around him had twisted tremendously, and his mind seemed to enter a trance. He staggered forward 2 steps, and countless yellow spots lit up around him. It was as if many pairs of eyes were staring at him. A quiet chamber that was also 10 square meters in size also lit up. What was this? When Hui Yuhao looked at what was on the walls around him, he was shocked. He wanted to escape immediately. But he soon found out to his horror that he couldn't locate the door. Even though he unleashed his spirit eyes and used his spiritual detection to search for the door, he still couldn't find it. The same type of bone was hung on the 4 walls and the ceiling. This bone didn't belong to a human, but was instead a triangular skull that was. There was a huge gap for the eyes, and the bottom of the skull was sharp. The yellow lights were shining from the eye sockets, which appeared to be balls of flames. Hui Yuhao groaned. His body shook, and he almost fell to the ground. He only felt like a huge cage formed by immense spiritual power was trapping him within, and it was even caving in towards him. He did not just feel tormented. He was even fearful. His spiritual sea also started to writhe tremendously, as if it was about to be torn apart by the frightening spiritual power outside. But the Sky Dream Iceworm, Ice Empress and Electrolux didn't react at this point. He was the only one bearing all this. Part 1 end here.